Have you ever wondered why some speakers just soar and keep on soaring while others stay stuck? It may not be for the reasons that you think. Maybe you think it's because one is more talented than the other, or maybe it's just timing, who they know. Well, I'm here to tell you that has nothing to do with talent. Timing may play a factor, but even timing without this element will not get them the speaking opportunities. It's all about growth. Yes, unless you keep growing as a speaker, you will have missed opportunities. You will get stagnant. You'll get stuck. I know many speakers who are still riding on the laurels of their past success, and they're wondering why their momentum has slowed down. Have you ever found yourself in that place where maybe you had a success at one level and then all of a sudden things change and you're like, what happened? I want to submit to you. Maybe it's because you stopped growing. Maybe it's you thought, I've arrived. I've learned everything I can learn. I don't need to keep growing. The most successful, most impactful speakers are those who keep growing. Now, I'm not just talking about going to school, but I'm talking about constantly showing up and looking at ways that they can improve effectiveness. And this happens even when you don't have a speaking opportunity. In fact, extraordinary speakers are made in the quiet moments, in the moments where they're not preparing for a speaking engagement, when the stage isn't booked, when the work is just you, your notes, your commitment to grow, your curiosity as to what else can you tweak, what else can you do differently that's going to have a bigger impact. I remember sitting at a women's event one time, really excited because of the main speaker was a woman who I had admired. She had been very successful in business in the online space and in person for years. Now, I'm going back a few years here, but I was excited because I'd never heard her speak in public, but I admired her success as a woman entrepreneur. She was a CEO. And so as I sat there, I got my notebook out, my pen, and I leaned in to listen as she stepped up to the platform. But then I quickly leaned back out. The first words out of her mouth were, I'm not a public speaker, but I do know how to run a business. What? Well, first of all, let me just say this. You never want to apologize as a speaker. For example, you might think, well, you know what? I didn't have time to prepare for this, or I haven't had much training, or I'm feeling really nervous. The moment you do that as a speaker, the moment you lose your audience, you now lower the impact that you can have and the credibility. Sure, you could be real and raw, but if you begin to make excuses for the lack of effectiveness or clarity or whatever it is that you're doing, right, that gives your audience permission to not look to you as someone that is worth listening to. So this woman started out with said, I'm not a public speaker, but I do know how to run businesses. I'm thinking, okay, but most of your promotion marketing was through speaking. So why are you saying that? But as I continued to listen, I realized as we came to the close of her message, why she said that. And this is an important lesson that I want to pass on to you, because not only did she lessen her impact that day, but the influence that she had built up years, like that she had tried so hard to build up, was actually destroyed in that moment. I no longer looked at her in the same way, because what she told me in that moment was that she didn't have a growth mindset. That she didn't, even though she was successful in one area, she did not see that she could improve as a public speaker. She didn't see how she could develop and go beyond where she was as a speaker. She didn't have a growth mindset in that area. So that, to me, lessened the impact of her message, because I thought, okay, there's a block here. She's riding on the laurels of her success in one area and not seeing her ability to improve in this other. Not only that, not seeing even the importance of her investing in her public speaking skills. Now, I will say years later, she did invest and it showed, and her business even went to new heights. In fact, I remember listening to a woman who was already a six-figure business earner, and she used to do events. And she said that she came to a place where she hit a plateau. And then as she invested in developing her speaking skills, that same year, she actually made and added another 7 figures to her business just because she invested in developing her speaking skills. Now, let me get back to the story. This lady, once she started to come to the close of her message, and I realized why she said that. Because when her time was up, she didn't stop speaking. In fact, she kept speaking, not just for another 5 minutes or even another 10 minutes, another 62 minutes. Yes, you heard me correctly. She went on for another hour and a bit. Now I want to ask you, if you were the event organizer that day, what would you be thinking? You'd probably be there wringing your hands like, oh my goodness, lady, get off the stage. I've got other speakers that need to get on. Or maybe that speaker who was supposed to go after her, if you were that speaker, what would you be feeling? What she was riding on was her title as opposed to training. She was riding on the fact that she was the CEO of this company. You see, so many entrepreneurs think passion or position is enough, and it's not. Your passion will only take you so far. Your position, without adequate training and preparation, will actually backfire on you. The speakers who truly move hearts and change lives, they're the ones that embrace a growth mindset. They invest, they train with intention. They realize that it is a privilege and an honor to be able to serve an audience, for them to take time to listen to you as a speaker. One of my favorite mentors, Craig Valentine, who was my first mentor, actually, he was also the 1999 world champion of public speaking, once told me, Lisa, don't get ready, stay ready. And that stuck with me, because that's exactly what I teach my clients now. It's like, you don't just get ready because you've got a speaking opportunity, but even in the quiet moments when you don't have something to prepare for, get yourself ready so that you are ready. You stay ready for the opportunities that come your way. And surprisingly, more opportunities show themselves than if you try to get ready when the opportunity comes. Like that saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. It's important for you as a speaker, if you want to have a bigger impact on the world around you and reach the people that you're called to reach, fulfill your calling as a transformational communicator, that you embrace a growth mindset. Keep showing up every day, grow, tweak what you're doing. Now, I'm not talking about being a perfectionist. I'm talking about being more effective, being open to feedback, having someone speak into your life and say, hey, you could tweak this a little bit. If you really want to master this skill, then this is what you need to do. Being willing and open to receive feedback in that way, but also intentionally seeking out help so that you can master the skills, not just settle for a certain level of skill development, but a mastery of those skills so that you can become the very best at the craft and at the place and the subject matter that God has called you to speak on. I didn't become a confident speaker overnight. In fact, I was terrified to speak. I invested in mentorship, in learning frameworks, in refining the way I show up with my message, even on the online space, refining how I show up on video and how I communicate. And now I help others do the same. In fact, my clients can learn in a few days what took me decades to learn. So if you want to speak with more power and more impact, decide to grow, decide to expand, decide to master your craft, decide to become the very best speaker that you can be. If you're looking for some tools and training, I want to invite you to put the word growth down below so that I can send you my free speaker skill set checklist so you can see where you are strong and where you need to focus on. John Maxwell said one time, he said, if you want to expand your capacity in any area of life, there's a formula. It is awareness plus abilities plus choice equals capacity. Becoming aware of what you're already good at, where you might need to improve, plus the abilities. What are the abilities that you already have that maybe you're strong in? And what are the abilities that you need to grow in or develop in order to become more effective? Understanding that, and then making a choice to invest in developing those skills, expanding those abilities, will help you expand your effectiveness as a communicator. What's one area you'll commit to expanding this month? Extraordinary speakers don't rely on their talent. They don't rely on their title. They rely on their training. So don't be like that CEO who went overtime and didn't care about the audience or even the other speakers or the event organizer. Be respectful of your audience and learn how to stay within the time frame and say what you need to say in a way that's clear, concise, and compelling. And if you want help with that, just put the word growth down below and I'll help you determine what's the next skill that you need to develop, what's the next area that you need to focus on so that you can grow and become the very best speaker that you are called to and impact the lives in a transformational way.